Nobody really tells you how weird it feels when your house suddenly becomes too big for your life. The kids are gone, the rooms are quiet, and one day you look around and realize you've somehow turned into the caretaker of a museum full of memories and mismatched furniture. Downsizing sounds easy on paper. Sell, pack, move. But the truth is, it's emotional. It's a mix of freedom and what have I just done? But here's the thing. It can also be one of the most refreshing, liberating chapters of your life, if you do it right. So grab a coffee, pull up a chair, and let's talk about what really happens when you decide to live smaller, lighter, and maybe even happier. Number 1. It's not just less square footage, it's reclaiming your time. When people talk about moving to a smaller home, they usually mention the obvious things: lower bills, smaller space, less clutter. But here's what they don't say enough. It's not really about the walls or the mortgage. It's about getting your time and freedom back. I'll tell you, one of the best feelings after downsizing is waking up on a Saturday morning and realizing there's nothing urgent that needs fixing, mowing, or scrubbing. The house doesn't control you anymore. You control it. A friend of mine, Walter, used to joke that his old home was a full-time job with terrible pay. Between the roof leaks, endless weeding, and cleaning rooms nobody used, he was always behind. He finally sold it and moved into a 2-bedroom place with a small porch. Now he says, "I finally have time to sit on that porch I used to dream about." That's the beauty of it. Downsizing gives you back your weekends, your quiet afternoons, even your naps. And time is the one thing you can't buy back. You're not losing a home, you're shedding an old schedule. I read a post where someone said, "I didn't realize how much mental energy my big house was draining until I left it." And that hit me. We get so used to the constant maintenance that we forget what life feels like without that weight on our shoulders. It's funny. The first few weeks, you'll keep catching yourself thinking, "I should be doing something." Nope, you shouldn't. You already did it. You moved into freedom. 2. Your stuff has to shrink too, but your life doesn't. Now, here's the emotional curveball no one warns you about: stuff. You think, "I'm just moving to a smaller place, no big deal." Then you start packing and realize your house has been quietly breeding objects for the last 30 years. Drawers, closets, basements. It's like they've been in cahoots. I remember helping my neighbor Ruth downsize after her husband passed. She opened her kitchen cabinet and laughed. "Why do I have 8 casserole dishes? I haven't cooked for a crowd since 2009. It's those little moments that make you realize most of what we own represents old versions of us. You'll find boxes of office files from when you worked full-time, outfits for occasions you no longer attend, tools for hobbies you quietly retired from years ago. And it's okay. Each one tells a story. But you don't need to live with every story. You've already lived them. When you start letting go of things, something strange happens. Instead of feeling like you're losing, you actually feel lighter. It's like shedding a winter coat you've been wearing too long. You can finally breathe. And this doesn't mean your life gets smaller. Quite the opposite. It gets sharper. You stop spending time taking care of things you don't use and start spending time on the things that make you feel alive. One senior said it best. "I realized I didn't downsize my life. I right-sized it." That's the perfect way to put it. You're not cutting down, you're adjusting the fit. My rule when I downsized was simple. If it doesn't serve me, comfort me, or make me smile, it doesn't come. You don't need 5 coats when you only wear 1, or 20 mugs when you have one favorite that feels just right in your hand. It's not about living with less, it's about living with just enough. 3. Know your new rhythm. 1 floor, less stairs, better layout. This one's big, and I can't stress it enough. Your new home shouldn't just be smaller, it should be smarter for the way you live now. We all have a rhythm. Maybe you like to start your day with coffee and a window view, or maybe you enjoy late-night reading without stumbling over a hallway of furniture. Downsizing gives you a chance to rebuild your daily rhythm in a space that fits you like a glove. One thing I've noticed: stairs. They used to be nothing, a quick jog up and down. Then one day, they became a full-on cardio workout. And if you're carrying laundry while doing it, forget it. So when you're looking at smaller homes, think about your future self too. A single-floor home isn't giving in, it's planning smart. My buddy Sam learned this the hard way. He moved into a cozy 2-story cottage after selling his big house, thinking it'd keep him feeling young. But after a year of climbing stairs every time he forgot his glasses, he said, "I think I've reached my step count for life." He moved again, this time to a single-level apartment, and now swears he's never going vertical again. The layout matters just as much as the size. An open floor plan may sound trendy, but if the kitchen and living area flow nicely and there's good natural light, it changes your mood. You'll notice it every morning. And here's something people rarely mention: noise. In smaller spaces, one creaky floorboard or a loud fridge can feel like an uninvited roommate. So take time when you're viewing new homes. Listen, walk around, picture your everyday life there. Ask yourself, where will I drink my morning coffee? Where will I read? Where will I nap when I don't feel like explaining myself to anyone? If the answers come easily, that's your space. I remember moving into my smaller home and realizing the kitchen window caught the morning light just right. It became my favorite spot, the place where I read, journaled, or just watched the world wake up. You can't put a price tag on that kind of comfort. 4. Community and familiarity matter more than you expect. When people think of moving to a smaller home, they often focus on the inside, the number of rooms, the layout, the square footage. But let me tell you, the space outside those walls can make or break your happiness. I've seen folks find the perfect little house, only to realize they've landed somewhere that feels empty. Not because the walls are bare, but because they left behind their people. The coffee shop barista who knew their name, the neighbors who waved every morning, the grocery store cashier who asked about their grandkids. It's easy to underestimate how much those small, familiar faces give our days shape. Take my friend Helen. She sold her big family home and moved to a quiet suburb 2 towns away because the house there was a steal. But a few months later, she told me, "It's beautiful, but I feel like I'm living on the moon." No one waved. No one talked. The neighborhood was full of younger families always rushing somewhere. She ended up moving again, back to her old town, this time into a small apartment above a bakery. Now she jokes that she smells fresh bread every morning and hears gossip every afternoon, and she loves it. That's the thing. Community isn't just people nearby. It's connection. It's the sense that you belong, that you're part of the daily hum of life. I once heard a retired man say, "I thought I wanted peace and quiet." Then I realized I wanted peace, not silence. And that hit me right in the gut. Silence can get lonely if it's not balanced by laughter down the hall, a knock on your door, or a friendly chat on the porch. So before you downsize, take a walk around the neighborhood of your potential new home. Visit the grocery store, grab coffee nearby, listen to how people talk to each other. Does it feel warm, welcoming, real? Because a small house in the right community beats a dream house in isolation any day. 5. Downsizing isn't just financially smart, it's emotionally freeing. Let's be honest, most of us first think about downsizing because of the money. Smaller mortgage, smaller utility bills, smaller property taxes. All that sounds pretty nice. But the real surprise comes afterward, when you realize how much lighter you feel. I don't mean just physically, from getting rid of stuff, though carrying fewer boxes up and down stairs is a blessing. I mean emotionally. There's something deeply freeing about stepping into a home that doesn't demand so much of you. A big house can sometimes feel like a museum, full of memories, ghosts, and half-finished projects. Every corner reminds you of a phase of life that's passed. When you move to a smaller space, it's like you give yourself permission to stop managing the past and start living in the present. My neighbor Arthur put it perfectly. After his wife passed, he stayed in their 4-bedroom home for 3 years. He said it felt like living inside an echo. Every room held a reminder of something that used to be. The guest room she decorated, the garage he never used anymore, the backyard she loved to garden in. When he finally sold it and moved into a smaller, sunny condo by the lake, he said, "It's like I can breathe again." The memories came with me, but the heaviness didn't. And you know what else happens? You stop worrying about impressing anyone. When you live in a smaller home, no one expects perfection. The floor might creak, the living room might be snug, and that's okay. You stop living for showing and start living for comfort. There's a joy in being able to clean the whole house in an hour, in knowing where everything is, and in having less to worry about breaking or maintaining. You begin to realize, all that space you gave up, it's now space in your mind. It's funny. People often think of downsizing as giving up. But every senior I've met who's done it successfully says the same thing. It felt like starting over in the best possible way. Like hitting the reset button on life, but this time with wisdom. 6. Pick place before furniture. Now, this one sounds simple, but it's where almost everyone trips up. When you're moving into a smaller home, it's tempting to think, "Oh, I'll just bring all my furniture and see what fits." My friend, let me stop you right there. That's how people end up with a sofa blocking their kitchen doorway and a dining table you have to shimmy around to reach the fridge. I did that once. I brought my big old recliner, the one that could practically double as a spaceship cockpit, into my new living room. It looked ridiculous. It was like trying to park a bus in a 1-car garage. I loved that chair, but the truth is, it belonged to a different chapter of my life. When you downsize, your home's energy changes. You can't just shrink your old setup and expect it to fit your new rhythm. The furniture has to match the life you live now. I know a lady named June who did this beautifully. Before she bought a single piece of furniture, she spent a week just living in her empty new apartment, reading, eating, moving around, figuring out where the light fell in the afternoon, where she naturally liked to sit. Then she bought only what fit her habits, a smaller round table for her morning coffee, a love seat instead of a full couch, a tall lamp by her favorite reading spot. And she said something I'll never forget. "I built my home around my day, not my past." Brilliant. When you choose your new place, think about how you live now. Do you actually need a dining table that seats 8? Probably not. Unless you're planning on adopting a football team. Maybe you'd rather have a comfy chair by the window or a small desk for writing letters or doing crosswords. Here's a funny way to look at it. Furniture is like friends. Some stay with you for life. Others are perfect for a certain season, and some, well, were never really your type to begin with. 7. Be ready emotionally for empty walls and fewer rooms. All right, here's something not enough people warn you about. When you first walk into your smaller home, especially after years in a big, memory-filled house, it can feel quiet. Too quiet. Like you're living inside a shoebox that someone forgot to fill with life yet. That's normal. Every single person I've talked to who's downsized says the same thing. The first few days feel strange. Not bad, just different. The walls are blank. The echoes are louder. You might even catch yourself missing silly things. Like the way your old kitchen floor creaked in that one spot, or the sound of wind coming through your big living room window. My friend Roger told me he stood in his new living room on the first night after moving in, surrounded by boxes, and felt like a guest in someone else's house. But 2 weeks later, he laughed and said, "Now I can't imagine living anywhere else." Turns out the walls just needed some stories. And that's exactly it. Homes don't feel warm because of their size. They feel warm because of what you do in them. That blank wall will one day have your favorite photo hanging on it. That echo will soon be replaced by your laughter, your music, the kettle boiling in the morning, So don't panic when it feels a little bare at first. That's not emptiness, that's possibility. It's a clean slate. Think of it like taking a deep breath before starting a new chapter. Also, here's a funny truth. Smaller homes can actually make you feel cozier once you settle in. There's something comforting about everything being within reach. You start to realize that home isn't about how many rooms you have. It's about how many memories you make in the ones that remain. Give it time. Let your new space grow around you. The warmth comes after the boxes are unpacked, and after you've spilled your first cup of coffee on the new floor. That's when it officially becomes yours. 8. Make your storage intentional. Okay, now let's talk about storage. The secret villain and hero of every downsizing story. You see, in a big house, you can get away with hiding stuff. You've got closets that could fit a small army and basements that act as time capsules. But once you move smaller, every inch matters. Suddenly, storage isn't a background thought. It's a lifestyle choice. You'll discover very quickly that clutter in a small space doesn't just look bad. It feels bad. It clogs the energy. I swear, in a smaller home, a single pile of mail can start to feel like it's judging you. So the trick is to make your storage intentional. Think of it less like, where do I put this? And more like, why am I keeping this? My friend Doris put it best. I used to have a whole basement full of things I might need someday. Then I realized someday never came. So when she downsized, she got creative. She used underbed storage bins, multi-purpose furniture, even a coffee table with hidden compartments. But she only kept what she actually used. The rest she let go of, with zero guilt. That's the key. Don't try to bring the old storage habits into your new life. You're not running a museum. You don't need to preserve every piece of your past. What you keep should serve your present. And that goes for your schedule too. I actually use a senior-friendly digital planner that helps me keep track of everything, from bills to appointments, without the paper clutter. It's been a game changer for staying organized in a smaller space. I'll leave the link for it down in the comments section if you want to check it out. And it doesn't have to be boring. A small home can still look beautiful if you store things smartly. Get a few nice baskets, some well-fitted shelves, maybe a chest that doubles as a bench. When everything has its place, your home suddenly feels twice as big. I'll tell you, I used to joke that moving smaller taught me 2 things. 1, I own way too many coffee mugs. And 2, storage is just organization with a little imagination. Once you master that, you'll never miss your old attic again. 9. Flexibility beats perfection. Now here's a truth I learned the hard way. When you move into a smaller place, things rarely turn out exactly the way you imagined. The sofa you thought would fit perfectly might look awkward. The quiet neighborhood might have a dog that barks at clouds. The kitchen counter might be just a bit too small for your famous Sunday pancakes. And that's okay, because downsizing and life, really, is all about flexibility, not perfection. I remember when my friend George bought a beautiful little cottage after selling his big house. He was thrilled, until the first winter when he discovered the bathroom heater was about as effective as a candle in a snowstorm. He could have panicked, but instead he laughed, bought a small space heater, and started referring to winter as spa season. Now he brags that he gets a sauna experience every morning. That's the attitude that makes the difference. When you treat imperfections as quirks rather than deal breakers, you start to enjoy your home more. It becomes personal, real. A smaller home teaches you adaptability. You start finding joy in making things work. That awkward corner becomes your reading nook. The tiny kitchen. Turns out it forces you to clean as you cook, which isn't such a bad habit after all. There's something liberating about not chasing perfection anymore. Because perfection is heavy. It keeps you comparing, adjusting, and worrying. Flexibility, on the other hand, feels light. It says, yeah, the faucet drips a bit, but the sunset view from the porch more than makes up for it. So when something doesn't go exactly as planned, take it as an invitation to get creative. Remember, this stage of life isn't about everything being flawless. It's about everything being you. 10. Celebrate the extra life you're creating. Finally, the best part of it all. Downsizing isn't about closing doors, it's about opening new ones. There's a quiet magic in realizing that smaller space equals bigger life. You're not tied down by chores, you're not buried under possessions, and you're not lost in rooms you never enter. You've created space for living. My favorite story is from a man named Harold who sold his family home and moved into a one-bedroom apartment near the coast. His kids thought he'd be lonely, but 6 months later, he was busier than ever, volunteering at a local animal shelter, joining a walking group, and even taking ukulele lessons. He said, "Funny thing, I thought I was downsizing my life, but I ended up upgrading it." That's the secret. When you're no longer anchored to a big house and endless responsibilities, you start rediscovering yourself. You can travel, try new hobbies, meet people, or just enjoy a quiet morning without guilt. And you should celebrate that. Throw yourself a little housewarming, even if it's just you, a good meal, and your favorite song playing in the background. Toast to the courage it took to start fresh. You've earned that moment. Because really, this isn't the end of something. It's the beginning of a simpler, more meaningful way to live. You've traded more space for more life, and that's one heck of a good deal. So when someone asks if you miss your big old house, smile and say, "Not really. I took the best parts with me." See? Downsizing isn't about giving up. It's about leveling up. You're not losing space. You're gaining peace, time, and maybe even a little adventure. Sure, there'll be moments where you miss the old place, but there's something beautiful about walking into a home that finally fits who you are now, not who you were 30 years ago. So go ahead, hang that last picture, sit back, and enjoy the quiet. You've earned it. And hey, if you found this helpful or it gave you a smile, hit that like button and subscribe. We've got more real-life stories and tips coming your way.